Good morning from Bobblehead Homestead. I am Jeff. Today is Tuesday. It is cold, if you call 50 something degrees cold. Sprinkling, supposed to have more rain this afternoon. This video is a continuation of the last one where I just sat down for like an hour and talked about everything. So I apologize for the long, boring videos, but this one and the next one are both going to be over 20 minutes. It's just, if you've been watching me since I got here, you already know everything that I'm talking about. So, yeah, I wasn't going to put these videos out because I don't like just standing in front of the camera and talking forever and ever and ever. But I did it anyway. Some of you might enjoy this. I do not expect large large views on these videos. And I promise I will be back in action here, very quickly. I'll try to put all 3 of these videos out today. We'll see how long it takes to process and upload them, blah, blah, blah. See, I turned everything into a long rant. Okay, hope you enjoy these videos. If you do want to watch them, thanks, and hope everybody's having a great week. How has this property progressed over the past year? Wow. Well, I started out, there was, this mobile home was full of trash. The big old shed house thing was full of trash. The white shed out front was full of trash. And there's another shed off to the side of the mobile home that's full of trash. So my first thing was to empty out this mobile home of trash. I don't know how many bags. It's just an enormous amount of junk that came out of here. It took me several weeks to get the room where I'm in right now cleaned out of trash. And I turned this 1 bedroom into my tiny house. I'm living in a tiny house. It's about 9.5 feet wide by, I don't know, 14 or so feet wide. And this is where, I sealed it off. I caulked all of the cracks and where it meets the ceiling, because this place is infested with bugs. Cockroaches are gone, but the spiders are still here. But anyway, I did my best to seal this room off from the bugs, and it's been, not 100% effective, but at least enough that I don't have to worry about, mice or rats, biting my nose in the middle of the night. They can't get in here. So I cleaned up this room really nice. Well, not really nice. Good enough. The floor had that linoleum tile type stuff on it. I had to rip, and it was already half gone. So I ripped the rest of that up, and I primed and painted the floor. I got some cheap clearance paints for, I don't even remember, but it was very cheap, and it's orange. Put some, rugs down. I got a rug from an old friend, and so yeah, I've just got orange floors with rugs on top, and this is where I live, in this one little room. I've got a bed that was got at an auction from university there in Russellville. They were selling stuff. Let's see, I've got a little kitchenette, a toaster oven. One of these days I'll clean in here. But one thing about living tiny is I don't have much space for storage out, that isn't going to be covered in bugs and stuff like that. So it's kind of messy in here. So I don't ever shoot in my bedroom because it's kind of cluttered, because I'm living in a tiny space. But I've got a little 2-burner electric stovetop deal. I've got a toaster oven, my coffee maker, and now I've got a little fridge in here. And I've got some other cooking stuff. But thing is, during the summer is like the toaster oven, I can't run the toaster oven and the air conditioner at the same time. So if I wanted to heat something up, the microwave, I do have a microwave, but it trips the breaker every single time. The electricity in this mobile home is also shot. The heat in this mobile home is shot. The air conditioning in this mobile home is shot. The ductwork underneath it, you know, there was evidence, there are holes in it, and there are rats living in there, or were living in there, and it's just, you know, this place is beyond repair. So anybody thinking that I'm going to fix up this mobile home, nope, it ain't happening. I do not want to spend any more time or effort on this mobile home, because it would have to be gutted and start all over again. You know, just replacing the furnace and the air conditioning is, you know, not enough. People say, oh, get a wood stove. I'm not chopping firewood all the time. I barely have enough effort to, you know, maintain the chickens. I can't be doing firewood, and that wouldn't do it. You know, a mobile home is not set up for wood stoves. You've got, you know, bedrooms on each end that are completely closed off. And anyway, don't get me started on this mobile home. One of these days I'd like to offer for free and have somebody just haul it out of here. So, you know, that's my plan for this mobile home. Oh, that's a whole nother video. Well, what are my plans for the future? I'm talking about this year. So the mobile home, completely cleaned out of trash. What else did I do in here? You know, I cleaned it up some. We took all the carpet out, which was just, oh my gosh. And I'm using the carpet outdoors for, you know, ground cover. Some of it has just been hauled off. Let's see. I ripped out the kitchen sink. Water damage, just completely rotted and trashed and horrible. So I ripped out the kitchen sink area and put a utility tub. My sister and one of my relatives helped with that. So I've just got a utility sink that replaced the kitchen sink, and it works good enough. I've got one of those Ys. So my garden hose goes out the kitchen window and outside, and that's how I've got a garden hose outside that I can use for, you know, the chickens and watering the garden and stuff like that. That comes right out of my kitchen sink. And that was just, you know, I had to have water. So that was just the, you know, I didn't want to improve it and redo the kitchen and all that. So I just, something that functions and was cheap, and that's what I got. So that's been about it. I use it for storage. I use the kitchen sink, and other than that, well, that back bedroom, I raised the baby chicks in there. That's where the incubator was. I started seeds back there last spring, and I'm going to try to do that again. One problem I had back there was a mold. So that made it harder starting the seeds, because you want to keep the seeds damp, but well, the dampness and all the mold that's already back there, that made it difficult. So maybe if I can, well, I've got that air conditioner with a built-in dehumidifier, so hopefully next spring I'll be able to better start seeds in that back bedroom without all the humidity and mold. Yeah, this place has all kinds of water damage, and I did remediation here in this front bedroom, so that was good. Yeah, the problem was caused by there's a bathroom on the back part of it. Anyway, that's all been ripped out, and there were another thing I had to do is there's a giant hole in the bathroom. My relative helped me out with that. Just put boards down to cover up the hole so that no raccoons got in here. That's how big the hole was around the toilet. There was another giant hole in what was the living room right under the window where they had an air conditioner. You know, a big, huge hole like that just went straight down below the mobile home. So I put some boards up there, and so yeah, this mobile home is, somebody could repair it, but it would just take so much money and time and effort that I figure a tiny cabin is a much better use of whatever resources I can come up with than this junky mobile home. So that's about it with the mobile home. The front steps were cement blocks, and my relative built me a set of steps up to the front door, so that was useful. Just a lot of cleaning. And then let's see, outside, my first year. I picked up so much trash. I mean, just everywhere around this mobile home is just full of trash. I had to move, and well, old metal roofing, and just an unbelievable amount of stuff. So I've been shuffling that around, and that happened. Clearing land of trash. Well, first up was where my garden is now. There was a lot of, well, not as bad as some of the other parts of the property, but I had to pick a lot of trash up where before I could start preparing my garden beds. Where the chickens are now, there's a lot of trash in there. I'm still, every time it rains, there's more broken glass and stuff shows up that was right under the surface. So yeah, I cleared land, I cleared brush, I cleared weeds. I didn't do as much of it as I would have liked, but I got quite a bit done. And then recently, my neighbor has come by with a bulldozer and cleared some land. Out in the country came down. They took down that old shed house thing after emptying it of all the trash that was in there. They took down the little white shed thing out by the front of the property, and that thing is full of trash, and I'll be working on that for weeks to come to get all of that out of there. I mean, it's deep, and anyway, you can't fill up a complete trash bag full of stuff because it's so heavy. And I'm not in a city. Trash bags have to be light enough for me to be able to handle, and the garbage people that pick it up too. So, and I'm not in any hurry. I have to concentrate more on my income opportunities than cleaning up the place. Hauling trash out of here doesn't make me any money, and I don't have a lot of time and effort. So my time and effort this spring was mostly spent on planting. I planted over 1,000 flowers by hand. And that wasn't, I was hoping for like 3,000. So I didn't get nearly enough planted as I would have liked. And I didn't get as much land cleared for planting as I would have liked. But you never know. You got to go out there and do it before you learn. I did grow quite a few things, I think, relatively successfully for the amount of expense and effort that I put into it. I didn't throw any, I got one bag of organic fertilizer and Epsom salts, and that's basically all I used. And so it did pretty well. I did make some money off of growing flowers. Not a lot, not as much as I was hoping for. But that's a learning experience. I don't want to, the people I sold them to may not want it known, where they got their flowers or how many they got or what they paid for them or, stuff like that. So I have to be considerate of my customers and potential customers and stuff like that. But one thing I didn't do was the farmers markets. I just didn't have enough product to make the effort worth it. So that'll be something I'm working on next year, is having more product available. I could have, maybe at the most done 10 dozen of cosmos and zinnias, maybe a few sunflowers here and there. I just didn't have enough variety or enough product to sell, and if I've only got 10 dozen to sell, if I'm selling them at $5 a piece and $1 of that went to the vase, I'm only, and then the gas money to get there and paying for the booth, well, it's not worth it for $10, assuming I sold all of it. So that'll be something, as I've also been learning the laws and regulations and which farmers markets actually have people that that come to them. The closest one here is just it would not be good for me. So that'll be something I'm shooting for next year, is having enough product to make getting a booth at a farmer's market worth my time and effort and investment. But I grew, you know, tons of zinnias and cosmos and sunflowers, and the 4 o'clocks were kind of cool. I think that groundhog ate the 4 o'clocks. They're just gone. Might have been a deer that stopped by, but I bet it was a groundhog. Okay, so that's it on the flower front. A little bit of money. I probably spent more money on seeds at the dollar store than I made, but it was a good learning experience. Next year I'll get into that another time. Chickens. What's going on here with the chickens in the past year? I got here. In October. There were 4 hens running around wild, roosting in the trees. You know, about a month later, they're actually, you know, comfortable enough to come around me. About a month after that, they started eating out of my hands, and so yeah, I had a lot of fun with those four hens that were here, and then I named them number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 after their pecking order. I'm horrible at naming stuff. And so number 2 is the only one I have left. Number 4 disappeared first at the end of last winter. Just, you know, went out into the woods to roost at night and never came back the next day. Then a few months later, it was number 1. Number 1 went broody and disappeared. And that was if they're up in the trees, they were probably pretty safe, but if they were sitting on eggs, then, you know, they're on the ground level at night, and that'd be my best guess of what happened to number 3. And then a couple weeks later, number 1 disappeared first, and then number 3 disappeared a couple weeks later. I never found any signs of them, so I don't know what happened, but something got them. And number 2 was left, and that was about the time that it was right after I got, it was right about the time I got 4 hens off of Craigslist. 5 hens off of Craigslist. There are 4 whiting true blue hens. They lay blue eggs. And then another one that came with them was Punky Brewster. She's a brown leghorn that laid white eggs, and I gifted her to somebody locally here, but yeah. So, and I went from there, and then I got Walter, the Welsomer rooster, and he provided me eggs that could be hatched. My neighbor showed up one day and said, "Hey, my hen is broody. You got any eggs you want to hatch?" And I gave them 8, and they hatched. So that was my first expansion. And then number 2 went broody, and I put eggs under her, and she hatched 4 of them. So, you know, then my flock's starting to grow. And then, so that's 12 that were hatched from there. And then Walter suddenly died. No clue about that. So that a few days later, I decided, okay, I'm going to hatch as many eggs as I can. And so I hatched 10 more eggs. So there are 10 more babies out there. And then Out in the Country came down. I didn't have a rooster anymore. And they found me a Welsomer in Tennessee and brought him to me. And then, so that was awesome. So that really, that made the second generation olive acres is going to happen for me. And then just just a couple weeks ago, I found some quality Welsomer birds on a Facebook group, and so I've added 2 more Welsomer roosters and 9 Welsomer hens. And stay tuned. There's more coming in the not too distant future. So I've got 40 chickens now, and I'm not keeping them all. You know, that's part of my plan is, you know, self-sufficiency as far as food goes. So, but yeah, my chickens, I built 2 chicken coops. One of my first investments before I as soon as I got here, you know, months before I even got more chickens, was the Premier One electric fencing. Because fencing is expensive, so that was a good investment. And then later on, with some help, I was able to get a second fence. So now I've got, you know, two electric fences and two runs, chicken runs, and for my two different flocks. And there's going to be more to come. I really need to build at least one more chicken coop here as soon as I can, because those 10 babies are going to be old enough. And anyway, there's more to come there. So that's the year in review on the chickens. Cats. The first day I worked here last October, Fifi, what we now know her as Fifi, it took me months to give her a name, and Fifi was, don't ask where that name came from, it was just out of the blue. But it's fitting, she's a good little Fifi. First day, she was meowing and limping, she had a broken paw and an open wound on the top, and so yeah, she just adopted me from the first day I was here. Took her to a vet, and you know, she limped for several weeks and wasn't back to normal for probably a couple months, but now she's perfectly fine. Her front paw looks kind of weird, but it functions properly. But yeah, she showed up, and then last winter 2 more cats started showing up. One of them is Bob, who's still with us, and the other one I named Beavis. He was, looked like he was part Siamese, and he was kind of loud and obnoxious. But he showed up one day and had lost a fight. And I took him to the vet, and it was just too much. Too much. So Beavis was put down. But yeah, they both showed up here feral. Beavis, after a couple weeks, Beavis was starting to let me pet him. Bob, it took longer than that. Bob, it took a good month before he even let me touch him, or, you know, it took weeks before he let me get near him, and I was patient. So now Bob's like my best buddy. He'll follow me around as much as Fifi does. And Fifi is so cute. She does. I walk down to the, you know, wherever, walking around the property, and Fifi is right there next to me. She's always out there beside me, and now Bob is doing that quite a bit also. So I'm loving my cats, and now I've got Grumpy in the mix, and he's slowly adjusting. He's not fully in the swing of things yet. He runs off into the woods when I let him outside and doesn't hang around. And I'll call him during the day, but I have no idea where he's running off to. He only shows up either right at dark or right after dark. But yeah, so that's the cats. And there's always a possibility for more. So yeah, I'm loving cats. I've always been, well, I had a cat a long time ago, and I just couldn't justify the expense of keeping cats. So I'm enjoying they're fun. They're making this place fun also. So that's the update on the cats.